And now, it's time for Healing from Within with your host, Tony Valen.
Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony, at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is psychic medium Aurora Rose. You can learn more about Aurora Rose and contact her directly by going to her website, AuroraRosePsychic.com, AuroraRosePsychic.com, AuroraRosePsychic.com. Like her on Facebook.com/Aurora Rose Psychic Medium and follow her on Twitter at Castle Aurora ROS. Aurora Rose, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure, well, thank you. So let's get started. The question I always ask, first of all, is what are your gifts and how did your journey begin?
Well, it started when I was 14. I saw an apparition standing by my bed of an older lady that I didn't know calling my name. And I got up and asked my mother who this lady was, and she told me that basically I was just making it up so I didn't have to go to bed, things like that. And, you know, there was other strange things that happened to me a lot. I'd have dreams that would come true, or I would just know certain things about people that I shouldn't know. And my parents always kind of made me feel like I was crazy, and I was raised in a very highly religious family. So once I kind of repressed it, as much as I possibly could get away with, which wasn't always possible.
Yeah.
But I repressed it in order to not feel like an outcast. However, once I hit my mid-20s, we moved into an extremely haunted house. And it really awakened my abilities. And because I wanted to know how to tune into what was going on, I brought those abilities back to the surface, and I have been using them ever since.
Very interesting. Now, when you moved into this house that awoke in your senses, what type of events would happen, or what would you go through that made you feel like you had awakened?
Well, it was pretty drastic. The first thing was when I went in there, I could feel this horrible energy about the place. I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like it just kind of made you sick being in there.
Mm-hmm.
But we really needed the house at the time because of the space and the affordability. So after a few weeks, kind of seeing some shadows and stuff like that, we heard this horrible noise coming from the kitchen, and it sounded like somebody had threw a rock through our window and was like trying to break in the house. Well, we walked in there, and there was a dish that had been put away that was tempered glass on the table, shattered into a million pieces. And there was no way it could have been there where it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And broken the way it was. And there was nobody else. All the children were asleep, you know. Well, then a couple days later, we heard it was about time for the kids to get off the bus. and I heard the kids banging on the door, laughing and giggling, and I mean, they were kicking the door hard, like it was locked and they were trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down and I unlocked the door and I opened the door and there was nobody outside. The bus hadn't even came out.
Mm.
So it was things like that. They actually caught on camera, because we did have some paranormal investigators come, and they caught on camera 3 full-bodied shadow figures in my closet.
Wow. That's that's kind of scary. So when in finding your abilities, do you find that anyone else in your family had these abilities, or was just you? Did you have any sisters or brothers that may have shared that same type of abilities?
Actually, my parents both are highly, highly psychic, but they don't refer to it as that. They call it, they believe that it's prophecy from, which is fine. I mean, you call it whatever you want, but for whatever reason, they believe that mine is satanic and theirs is not. I cannot explain their rationale on this, but yeah.
Really? That is so interesting.
Yeah, their gift came from God, and it's okay because they use it for the church, whereas because I'm using it to help people, it's not okay.
So that's kind of strange to me. So let me ask you this question, and I mean no offense to anyone out there, any of the listeners out there. I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm.
So is it, do they consider themselves Christian and not you?
Yes.
So let me ask another question. Were you, did you have a bad relationship with your parents? I mean, were they abusive to you?
Not physically, but they always kind of put me down and found reasons to not like me. I mean, I hate to say that about my parents because I do love my parents.
Right.
But I always kind of felt like because my brother got put on I had a little brother,
mm-hmm.
and he was always kind of put on a pedestal, and everything he did was amazing and great, and everything I did was bad or not good enough.
Yeah, and that's too bad. But, that brings up another question for me that I noticed that a lot of people that are intuitive psychics, they have a hard childhood or something in their life has put them through a hardship. Do you think this contributed to you having the gift?
I don't think it contributed to it exactly because, like I said, my parents, they're both highly gifted.
Right.
They just choose to use it differently. But instead what I think is I think the people who ultimately are meant to do something wonderful and really, truly help people are kind of designed, it's kind of a design flaw, like they have to go through certain things in life to truly be able to truly empathize and truly help people because they've been in situations themselves. So I think it's almost like, kind of a destiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I totally understand. So how do you work? I know that every psychic that I talk to, every medium and whatnot, they have their own way of connecting. What's your process like?
Well, honestly, I can't ever really truly shut it off. It's kind of always going, and I can pick up energy. I read energy more than anything else. I have all the clairs. However, it comes through the energy, and you can get energy through lots of different ways. I can get energy from somebody's picture, but certain things carry stronger energy than others. So my preference is to have somebody face to face. Because when I'm face-to-face with somebody, I, of course, get the most of their energy. And I also like to touch people's hands briefly. I don't read palms or anything. I just hold their hand, and I can really touch their energy then, And that helps me fully connect to them and to their guides and read them that way.
Right. So in other words, what you're working with is like psychometry?
Yes, exactly.
Got it. And for the listeners that wouldn't know what psychometry is, would you tell them what psychometry is?
Yes. It is where you can touch things and get images from touching objects or the energy an object carries. Like, let's say you go to a place that's haunted and you come to find out somebody was murdered there.
Yeah.
If you touch the spot where they may have passed at, you can sometimes feel and see what happened. However, I don't always have to touch. It's just that's where I get the strongest amount of energy from, is the touching. I can get it just by I can get it from names carry energy, pictures carry energy, but a name does not carry as much energy as a picture. A picture does not carry as much energy as a voice. A voice does not carry as much energy as being in front of me. And being in front of me doesn't carry as much energy as me actually physically touching you. Is that?
Yes.
Am I?
Perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So, do you consider yourself more a psychic or a medium?
I believe I'm more medium. However, I do it. It's almost like I have two separate places in my mind for either one. Like, if I'm doing a psychic reading, it's very difficult for me to swap and do a medium reading because they're literally in two different places, but yet somehow joined. I don't know how to make that make sense. Because when I'm doing a medium reading, I'm literally standing in my mind. I take myself to a place which is not hard for me to get to at all, where I'm basically standing on a bridge between our world and the spirit world, and standing on that bridge talking to the other side. And I have to be able to go there. And if I'm doing a psychic reading, I'm somewhere else. I'm tuning into your energy as opposed to the other side. So,
interesting. So when you work as a psychic, it's more about reading the person's energy and not necessarily connecting with the other side. And as a medium, you're actually connecting to the other side, so you can speak with the people on the other side. Is that correct?
Right. But at the same time, once I get your energy, it's much easier for me to connect to the other side for you to pick up your spirit guides, but some people want to just know their future and stuff like that. Well, that's not always what your guides want you to know. So that's why when I do a medium reading, I prefer it, and I have much stronger abilities in connecting to the other side through people's energy than I do anything else, because I feel like the people on the other side are there to help you. And they're going to give you the best advice, because sometimes what we think we need to know is not necessarily what we need to know.
Right.
And I am a firm believer that using my abilities to, how do I put this? Okay, I have a lot of people that will come to me and they'll want, let's say they are totally obsessed with another person romantically. And I'm not trying to offend anybody out there who has this issue. And they will constantly come to me and ask me over and over again, when's this person going to contact me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, well, why don't we pick up on what you can do to find the person that's meant for you, because this person is not meant for you. There's a great guy coming for you if you'll just let this guy go. And I've literally had them tell me, I don't care about that person, I only care about this person. And I refuse to play that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I continued to do that, then I was enabling that person. I don't feel like I do not feel like I was given this gift to enable people. I was given this gift to help them progress and become better people. And so I'm wanting to help the people who are ready to be helped. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. In other words, you are giving them what they need and not what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there, and that's the thing that I believe that we can do as intuitives is that we have to step out of the way and deliver what we are given, because a lot of times it's that insight that people are so obsessed with something that they want that they can't see the tree through the forest, and you need to guide them so they can go where they need to be. And it's amazing how they can totally release that want or that unwanted energy so they can finally truly find happiness and be who they really are. Don't you agree?
Exactly. Oh, yes, absolutely. And I'm good at, or I feel like I'm pretty good at explaining to people. I mean, there's some people who are just not ready to hear things at a certain time, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty good at delivering it in such a way that people understand where I'm going with it. And, even if at first they're kind of rejecting it, usually they'll come around and see where I'm coming from. And when they do and they finally let go and start to listen to the advice I'm giving them, and they see the changes that start to come their way, they are so much happier. And I've seen so many people really, truly change their lives through what I do, and that's what makes all of it worth it,
Yeah, absolutely. And so let me ask you, when you read people, can you tell me one of your most memorable readings that you've had, that you've given someone? And I'm talking more like a psychic reading.
Well, one in particular, and this one stays with me, and it'll always stay with me just because it was just, wow. I had read for this lady once before, and I couldn't pick up on everything the first time I read her just because she was so shut down emotionally at the time. She had lost her daughter. She had a daughter with severe autism that drowned in a lake. And plus the grief she was feeling was kind of overwhelming me at the time. Well, she ended up calling me about a year later and wanted a reading about her, wanted me to connect with her daughter. Well, this time her daughter was coming through loud and clear, and I was like, it's so weird because she was asking if she was around her family members, and I said, yeah. I said, it's almost like she's at a family reunion or something. I said, because it's like tables everywhere and stuff, and she's wearing this blue dress, and I said, and it's weird because I keep seeing her with fairy wings. I said, but they're not real fairy wings. They're kind of like the ones that you buy at Halloween. And she just busted up crying, and she goes, that's what I buried her in.
Aww.
We actually went and bought her those wings in that color.
Wow.
To bury her in. And I just myself even started bawling. Well, then, as I'm talking, I'm like, she's like, well, I wonder why they're at a family reunion. I'm like, oh, I don't know for sure it's a family reunion. It reminds me of one because all the family members that she has on the other side is there. I said, and there's balloons, and she goes, wait, could it be like a party, like a birthday party? I said, oh, absolutely. I said, the way it's looking, it could totally be a birthday party. Why? And she goes, it's her birthday today.
Oh, you see, isn't that amazing? I think that's so awesome.
And it's so cool because it's amazing. I've had this gift for so long, but yet sometimes, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, sometimes, you blow yourself away.
Right.
Because you're like, you know what I mean? You're like, wow, I can't believe I picked that up and it came through like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's another one of those moments where it's just, and that was a healing moment for her.
Yeah.
It gave her so much closure and it gave her peace that day because it was, she was really hurting with it being her daughter's birthday and her not being there, and to hear the joy in her voice when we ended that call, just, stuck with me. I can't explain it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I always I've learned through the years is that no matter what you get and how crazy or how weird it sounds, or something that comes to you, be sure and say what comes to you. Do not edit it. Do not change it. Just give what you get, because it may not mean a darn thing to you, but it means something to the person. And my example of that would be that there's this one time when this gentleman was, gave me a reading, and the thing about it is that out of nowhere, and it's so weird, he said, I don't know why, but is there something to have to do with a monkey with you? And I busted out laughing because the night before I was at home, and my partner at home was looking out the back door, and all of a sudden he said, oh my God, there's a monkey in our backyard. So it was so weird that he picked up on it. And it's just those little validations that happen that's amazing.
Right.
You mentioned something about getting emotional with the person that you're giving the reading to. My question to you is, does that break the connection that you have with either a spirit or with, your psychic ability when you do get emotional, or how do you stay intact and able to continue?
Actually, sometimes it really depends on the situation, because sometimes the spirit itself, because I am an empath, I'm not just getting emotional because it's a sad story, but I'm also getting emotional because I'm literally picking up the emotions of the spirit and the person I'm reading for. And so in some of the harder ones that I've had, like mothers who've lost their children to suicide, it has made it difficult, but I was able to reconnect and get myself back together and be fine. But sometimes in certain situations, like the previous reading I was telling you about, it actually strengthens the connection. Simply because I'm allowing that flow to continue. Because sometimes spirits give you their emotions for a reason.
Okay.
I think sometimes because I've had spirits that would not talk to me at all, but they would let me feel their emotions and communicate through emotion. I've actually had that happen a lot with suicide.
Wow.
The reason being, or my theory for that, is because they're so ashamed of what they've done, or they feel guilt or whatever for what they've done, that it's hard for them to talk about it. So instead you feel what they're feeling about it. And a lot of times if I can let that flow continue, it helps them to trust me more, to open up to talk to me. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, absolutely I do, because I've had the same experience where there are some, the thing that people really don't realize, or I don't think they really get it, I do, that even when you cross over, when you're on the other side, you don't become a different person. It's not like you become this big master with all this information and all this education.
No.
That you are the same person. You're just on the other side, hopefully a little smarter and a little wiser from the life you just lived, with life lessons.
Right. Like, I think certain things you heal from, like let's say you died with alcoholism or bipolar disorder or something like that. I believe that gets relieved on the other side,
yes.
But ultimately your main basic personality is still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, how often should a person have a reading, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think every situation is different. I mean, I think if somebody's going through a hard time and as far as a reading, your basic reading, I don't think you need that more than once every 3 to 6 months. However, if you're going through a rough time where you may need a little bit more guidance or whatever, I would think once a month might be more appropriate. But of course, if you're coming to me, someone like me or going to somebody like me who does life coaching and intuitive life coaching or spiritual counseling or something like that, then I would go by their advice on how much you need to see them, because you're not actually going for a reading, you're going for other issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So that may require more in-depth and more frequent visits.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you feel when, if someone, you mentioned that someone has lost someone, is there a certain amount of time before the person should go for a reading or try to find a medium to connect with their loved one? Or is it just, I don't know, you tell me.
Every case is different on that. However, I advise most people to wait a month at least. Because I personally, unless that spirit just really needs to be heard right away, in my experience, I have a very hard time connecting with a spirit that crossed less than a week ago. A lot of times I think they're either confused or still adjusting to the change that they've went through, and so they're not really ready to connect. But every once in a blue moon, you'll have a spirit who wants to talk to you 10 minutes after they pass. But, that's rare, very rare.
Yeah. I would think that would be someone that's more evolved and understands, basically what I'm saying is a metaphysical person that has gone through all this and kind of understands. I mean, we're all human and we still have to process what has happened to us, but I think that people that are metaphysical or understand life after life, it's a quicker...
Then they can, yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on reading children?
You mean giving a child a reading?
Yeah, like if some mom comes over with a kid and say, oh, my kid just can't find peace, especially, the thing that I've come across is whenever you have twins and one of the twins has passed on and the one left behind seems to have such a hard time moving on.
Coping.
Yeah, coping.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Actually, I am okay with it as long as, of course, the parent's okay with it. But once again, there's a lot of things that I believe have to go on a case-by-case basis, because some children may not be mature enough, and age doesn't seem to matter, in my opinion, but because everybody matures at a different rate. And I just think some kids may not be mature enough to be able to handle that information at the time. And I also think that you need to be able to judge whether the child or not is mentally sound enough to get that information.
Yeah.
Because if you have a child that may have some sort of behavioral disorder or something like that, that could potentially cause them issues.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree.
So, yeah, I'd take it on a case-by-case basis. But, especially if it's, like you said, a child who lost a twin, if I feel like the time since they passed has been reasonable enough that the child's had at least some healing or enough time mourning that they're ready to hear it, then, yeah, I will definitely do it for them.
This is Tony Valen, host of Healing From Within. You can contact me, Tony, at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing From Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, psychic medium, Aurora Rose. You can learn more about Aurora and contact her directly by going to her website, AuroraRosePsychic.com. Like her on Facebook.com/Aurora Rose Psychic Medium. Follow her on Twitter at Castle Aurora ROS. So I have to tell you that I'm having a it's very nice to just have a casual conversation with you, because it's more relaxing and we're able to talk a whole lot more about the personal side of you, and who you really are. And that's what the listeners, that's what I want them to get.
Yes, thank you. I think it's been great.
Wonderful.
I've enjoyed it. And it's nice to be able to talk to somebody who understands where you're coming from with certain things, because sometimes you get people who want to get in a big debate or whatever, and it's much more relaxing this way. I like this.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I was looking through your website, and I was reading, on the website, which is wonderful. You've got a lot of information there, and I've got questions about that too. But one of the things that kind of caught my eye is Aurora-isms. Oh, that's so hard to say for me. Aurora-isms.
My Aurora is.
Yeah, what are they? Tell me what those are.
They're funny, actually. They are usually things that I call them that just to have a cute name, but basically it's these rants that I go on, and
Yeah.
but they have deep meaning. I mean, like, I think one of them's about love the one you're with, and the reason it's the Aurorism starts out with a small statement that comes with a much longer meaning. And for instance, I notice patterns and stuff like that in people. And for instance, the love the one you're with. What I liked about it was I have noticed several couples who were constantly looking outside their marriage to fix their marriage without talking to each other. And, you know, it was, they weren't even trying anymore. And I was noticing these patterns. And as I was noticing these patterns, it made me think of how many other people might be going through this and how I might be able to help them just by simply writing this blog, and maybe it would connect with them in a way that they would get, you know, understand that you need to start from the inside. and if that doesn't work, then, you know, you might need to get professional counseling or something. But constantly looking outside your marriage for other people to fix your marriage, or constantly complaining to your friends about your marriage instead of communicating with your partner. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And so, I mean, a lot of my Aurorisms are more about the life coaching aspect, I guess, of my career than the psychic part. But still, I think it's all connected, though. So, you know, because I think it's all there for a reason. The intuition is there to help with the life coaching. So I use a lot of life coaching in the Aurorism.
Yeah. And so how would you respond to someone that says, well, wait a minute, you're a psychic. I came to you to help me with this problem because I know my husband is cheating without a doubt. I know for a fact. And I just needed for you to confirm what I feel. And then you turn around and you tell them, well, and let's just say this person has already been to you for 3 readings and it still comes out the same and they're not getting what they want. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
You know, the first thing is I ask them, after the second time even, I would ask them, okay, why do you feel this way? And then once I'd want them to talk a little bit about issues that they're seeing or whatever, and then I like to get to the bottom of why they're feeling that way, because usually they're just not happy, or they have maybe a problem with trust. Maybe they have trust issues that are deep rooted. And so I start trying to get them to talk about that so that I can make them see that maybe they're being a little bit paranoid, or maybe they've done something that they feel guilty about. So they're, you know, doing some transference there. So I try to get to the root of the problem with that person and help them understand. And some people are just never going to be open to digging that deeply. But some people are reachable, and you can get them to see that, hey, maybe, because usually I can get in touch with their spirit guides, and their spirit guides will show me what the problem is.
Right.
And, you know, I have to be gentle about delivery, because some people will, you know, if you tell them something they aren't ready to hear, they will jump up out of that seat and run. But I'm usually careful about the delivery, but I tell them what their spirit guides are showing me, and I'm like, okay, well, I see here that, you know, you had 2 previous relationships where you were cheated on constantly, and now you're just always afraid that somebody's cheating on you, when really that person loves you and you have no foundation to base this off of. And the problem is with you, not with him, and you need to work on why you can't let what happened in the past go. You know, things like that is what I'll say a lot of times.
Yeah, and I agree. And if you were to, this is going to be an odd question, or at least I think, but I think it's a fair one. Through all the people that you've helped, is there a common issue that always comes up with men as versus women? Do you see a trend?
I tend to get more love questions from women and more business questions from men.
Is it that typical? I mean, yeah.
But it's not always that way. It's just, I mean, if I were to average it out, I would say that's usually the case. However, I tend to find that women are more open to, like, making changes to fix the relationship than men are. Like, men are, if they're calling about a love question, they tend, if they're stuck on a woman, it's a lot harder to change their mind and get them to think of letting the woman go. Whereas a woman, it's hard with a woman too, but a lot of times they're more open to looking outside the box, I find.
Right. And what about, with that same thought process, what about women making changes business-wise or career-wise? How tough is it for them to make, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think, actually, you know what? That's a good point. I never really thought about that, but thinking about that, yeah, women tend to, even if they know that you're probably right, they tend to be more afraid of making major career decisions or career changes.
Yeah.
Because they like the feeling of the stability. Women tend to be more into the stability that they have. They tend to like change less. But whereas men tend to be more driven to do better constantly, so they're more willing to take risks when it comes to business.
Right.
Than I find women doing.
Interesting. In going to your website, I'm going into the products section of your website, and I see that you offer spell potion bottles. Tell us about the custom-made spell potion bottles. Okay.
A lot of people that do magic tend to do very cookie cutter type spells. Like, somebody comes to me and says, I want to fix my relationship, then somebody will say, okay, well, we'll do a love spell then. Well, that's not helpful at all, because you need to find out what the problem is with the relationship. Maybe if you're casting a love spell and love isn't the problem, then you're wasting your time and your money. So I like to get to the root of the problem and find out exactly what's going on in somebody's relationship. So once they tell me, let's say their partner is very much in love with them, but their partner is depressed and going through a lot of stress, and the communication is down, and there's money issues or something like that that's creating these problems. Well, a love spell's not going to fix your money problems. I mean, yeah, you're going to love each other more, but the money problems are still there, you know?
Right.
So what I like to do is I custom make the potion bottles for everything that person needs. So if their partner's depressed, if they're wanting a love spell bottle, I would put something in put an herb or an oil in specifically meant to help heal depression. Help then something for the money issue, something for communication, and something to strengthen their love bond. So when I say I custom make them, I mean every oil and everything is added with exactly what their needs are. And then I also handwrite a spell for them to read when they get the bottle. And I, of course, spell it myself first. And then for them, they don't have to read the spell. It's just a lot of people, when they get a spell bought or purchase a spell, they like to feel like they're doing something to help. So what I do is I handwrite a spell just for them for their exact purposes to read with their thing so they can help enhance their spell.
Absolutely. And how would these persons use your product? Is it something that they rub on, or how do they exactly use your product?
I've had it, a lot of times I will tell them to do certain different things with it depending on the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most common things is, like, for one that I've done for somebody to get more money or something, is I've had them just sit the bottle beside their purse every night. For a love spell, or for, like, if a couple's already married and they're still sleeping in the same bed, I have them put the love potion bottle on his side of the bed. Yeah, I just say his because women most commonly get that.
Got it.
And, but sometimes I'll have them rub it on, but I'm really careful about that just because of allergies.
Yeah.
I'm always worried that somebody will have an allergic reaction, because really just being around the oils and with the spell bottle itself being spelled by me, it's got all of its potency right there, So.
Wow. Yeah.
And they can also rub it on a candle, though. I have had them do that, rub it on a candle, the oil on a candle, to bless a candle that they also used with the spell.
Okay. So. Very interesting. And that also goes for, I noticed you have two products here, which is the spell potion bottle and the Mojo bag.
Yes, the Mojo bag, I usually recommend be carried with you, like in your pocket or something. Now, like, I have protection ones that I make. Now, those are like I'll tell people where to store them. Like, if they're having a haunted house problem, I'll tell them exactly where they should put them in their house. Or if they just want extra protection when they're in their car, when they're driving, I tell them to put it under the driver's seat and leave it there, things like that.
Right. I also noticed that when it comes to products on your website, you're actually promoting certain books that are on Amazon. How did you come to pick these books, and why did you choose these certain books to promote?
Well, I have an Amazon Associates account, and what I like about these books is these books are, because I think some of the ones that are promoted are not all necessarily New Age, but they're ones that I either found really, really good as far as a good fictional read, or they're ones that I have read every single book on that list, and they're all ones that I recommend for various reasons. And of course, if anybody wanted to know about any specific one, then by all means, do not ever hesitate to ask, and I'll explain why. Like, there's several on there that are magic related, some spiritual related. So, it's all for different reasons. If you buy them off of there, I do get a portion or I do get commission from it. But at the same time, I would never promote any product or book that I did not personally use myself or wouldn't personally read.
Right. So they
or support.
Got it. So you got a message off of them, and you feel the message is important enough to put out to public and stand by.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So tell me, what is next for you, Aurora?
Well, I am currently still doing, I'm on my own now. I was working in a little shop for a little while. Now I am more mobile. I do a lot of reading still from my phone, but I also do readings here in Tampa at various places. I have a meetup group every Tuesday night, or not every Tuesday night, excuse me, every other Tuesday. of the month. The next meeting will be this coming Tuesday at 6 o'clock. If you want to check out meetup.com for that. And it's $20 a month, but it's $15 if you pay in advance through PayPal. I've had a lot of success with that. A lot of people have really, really enjoyed coming to those. I love doing psychic parties or psychic group readings. But what I'm really wanting to work towards is really developing more on the intuitive spiritual counseling side and really getting more clients that are ready to change their lives. And I really like to work with people who've been through difficult situations. Of course, I am not a professional mental health person, but at the same time, I do like to work with people alongside a professional therapist and doctor to help boost their spiritual side of people who have mental illness or who've went through suicidal issues, women or men or children who've been through domestic violence issues as well. I donate a lot of my time and efforts to helping both of those causes and helping as a psychic, as an intuitive spiritual counselor as much as I can with them, because both of those are situations that I know too much about. So
yeah. And how long have you been in Tampa?
I have only been here since September, but I feel like it's home. I love it.
Wonderful. Well, Aurora, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk to us and telling us about your life and gift.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been wonderful. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. Our thanks to psychic medium Aurora Rose. You can learn more about Aurora Rose and contact her directly by going to her website, aurorarosepsychic.com. Like her on facebook.com/Aurora Rose Psychic Medium, and follow her on Twitter at Castle Aurora ROS. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio. We air Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Contact me directly, Tony at TonyValen.com. And please follow the show on Twitter, at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look at the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.